Less than 300 years. That's all the United States has. And on path 2, the machine, we follow the engines that built America. First, the cotton gin made cotton king. Now, a new machine. Iron, steam, steel rails stretching across prairies, over mountains, through deserts. The railroad. It promised to unite a nation. It delivered goods, people, ideas, faster than anyone imagined. But the Iron Horse also brought soldiers, settlers, and soldiers again. It carried the Union Army to crush the rebellion, and it carried the tracks that would divide native lands forever. This is the story of the railroad, the machine that bound America together with steel and tore it apart with speed. When the Civil War began, the railroad became a weapon. The North had 20,000 miles of track. The South had 9,000. Northern trains moved troops, food, ammunition, medicine. Southern trains could not keep up. The Union understood the railroad. They created the United States Military Railroad, one of the most effective logistics operations in history. They could move 40,000 men and their equipment in a week. When General Sherman marched to Atlanta, he lived off the railroad. And when he left, he destroyed it. His men tore up tracks, heated them over fires, wrapped them around trees. They called them Sherman's neckties. The railroad won the war for the North. And after the war, the railroad would conquer the West. In 1862, in the middle of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln signed the Pacific Railroad Act. The government would give land and money to two companies: the Central Pacific, building east from California; the Union Pacific, building west from Nebraska. They would race to meet. The Central Pacific hired thousands of Chinese workers. They were paid less, worked harder, blasted tunnels through the granite of the Sierra Nevada. They died by the hundreds in avalanches and explosions. The Union Pacific hired Irish immigrants. They drank, fought, laid track at a brutal pace. On April 28, 1869, the two crews raced to lay 10 miles of track in one day. They laid it. Then, on May 10, 1869, at Promontory Summit, Utah, they drove the final spike, a golden spike. The Transcontinental Railroad was complete. The journey from New York to San Francisco, which once took 6 months by wagon, now took 7 days by train. America was no longer a collection of regions. It was one nation, bound by iron. But the railroad was not empty progress. It came at a cost paid by those who were here first. The Transcontinental Railroad cut through native lands. It brought settlers who broke treaties, soldiers who enforced broken promises, and hunters who destroyed the buffalo. The buffalo was the lifeblood of the Plains tribes. The railroad made it easy for hunters to slaughter them. From 30 million buffalo in 1800 to fewer than 300 by 1890. The tribes who depended on them starved. The railroad brought the army. It brought the reservation system. It brought boarding schools where native children were stripped of their language, their culture, their names. And at the end of this road, Wounded Knee, 1890, the last massacre. The tracks stretch across the graves. The railroad did not invent this violence, but it delivered it faster. The Transcontinental Railroad was one of the greatest engineering achievements in human history. It was also one of the greatest acts of dispossession. The men who built it, Chinese, Irish, black, white, worked and died for wages that could not buy dignity. The nations who lived on the land before the tracks were laid were pushed aside, starved, murdered. The railroad united America. It also divided it, between those who profited and those who paid, between the coasts and the interior, between the dream and the cost. But the machine does not stop. After the railroad, the factory. After the factory, the assembly line. After the assembly line, the computer. Path 2. The machine continues. Next time, the American factory. How the Industrial Revolution moved indoors, and how workers, immigrants, women, children built the nation with their hands. As a Chinese railroad worker once said, "The railroad built America, but America did not build us." Subscribe now. The scale continues balancing.